Hi, this is an additional tutorial about how to use the Smart Layer script with the human HIK rigs and maybe similar rigs which can potentially have some issues in the evaluation. Let's maybe take a look at this example. So here we can see the character doing some dance animation, and this animation is not in place. So in the last frame the character is here, and in the first frame the character is in this spot. So if we would like to make this animation in place, we can easily do it with the animation layers. So I can select the hip effector, the HIK controls, add them to layer, set basically 1K in the beginning of the time range. Then using the middle mouse button I can copy pose to the last frame and set key. So in the graph editor it will look like this. So we got the same pose in the beginning of the animation and in the end of the animation, and as a result we got this annoying sliding in the middle. And it can be easily fixed with the adjustment blending, which is the offset algorithm in the Smart Layer. So if I select the layer and run the script, it should be easily fixed. However, here we see a problem. So the animation is obviously broken. It looks very far from we expected, and something is definitely not right. And the reason why this happens is because the script, it presumes that you would like to apply the adjustment to the all controls in the animation layer. And here you can see, despite the fact that we added only 3 controls to the animation layer, this animation layer, it contains basically all the rig, and all these rig controls, they have keys. And because of that, the script is trying to apply the adjustment not only to the hips and eye keys, but also to the bones, to the spine, to the chest, etc. And the issue is, it kind of creates a conflict. So the HIK effectors, they control the bones, and the bones, they also control the HIK effectors. So it's kind of a cyclic dependence, which works through the internal human HIK mechanism. So this issue can be easily fixed, and for that all we have to do is just to clean up this animation layer. So I can select the hip effectors, the HIK effectors, and simply press extract selected objects. It will create a new animation layer, and if I press the select objects, you will see that only 3 of these controls exist in this animation layer with no other controls involved. So if I run the script using this clean animation layer, everything should work correctly. Okay, so the script worked, there are no issues in the evaluation, the sliding is fixed, we can see no glitches, and everything works exactly as expected. So this is the first way how you can deal with a human HIK. The second option would be to manually remove all objects you don't need from the animation layer. Let me show how it's done. So again, we have this animation which is not in place. We add 3 controls to the animation layer, set key, copy pose to the end of the animation. Now this layer has all controls. So what we can do, we can deselect controls which we need to keep in this animation layer, and then right click and remove selected objects. So this would remove all these extra controls which we don't need from this animation layer. And if we right click on the animation layer, select objects, you will see that again this animation layer is kind of clean. It has only objects which we need, and after we run the script, again everything should be fine. We got a clean evaluation with no glitches, and everything works as expected. So if you want to speed up the process of cleaning up the animation layer, you can create maybe selection sets with required controls. Also, I created a small script which basically does the animation layer cleanup. The script is available with the Smart Layer at the same page. So basically it works like this. When you created a layer with some adjustment, you select controls which you would like to keep in this animation layer. Then you run this script to clean up the layer. It will remove all other controls from this layer, and after that you can run the script as usual and everything should work fine. Kind of like this. So yeah, this can be kind of annoying, I understand, but at this point I'm not sure I can do anything else. It's just this human IK and how it works with Maya, and it basically means you would have to press one extra button to be able to use the script with the human IK rigs. And also, I forgot to mention, so here, like I said, if you run the script with all controls in this animation layer, we will get evaluation issues. Basically, it happens because the script, it uses not the Maya bake, but the custom bake. And if we enable the run simulation checkbox, it will use the standard Maya bake, which understands the human IK. So if I run the script with the simulation enabled, it kind of should work fine. But you can notice that with the simulation, the bake takes much longer. So yeah, here the evaluation is fine. So if you want, you can use this simulation checkbox. Also, if you change the layer to the override, it will speed up the bake a little bit. But overall, the most reliable way to work with the human IK would be to use the clean animation layer without any junk, without any controls you don't need. But with run simulation option, it also should work fine in most of the cases. Let's maybe quickly take a look at a few more examples. So here we have a stop animation, and in this stop animation, the character stops not in exactly correct spot. So first maybe let's extract the root motion. So I will select the hips effector and the HIK effectors. Maybe create a selection set for them. So I will bake these controls to locators in the world space. Now I can manipulate the main control. Let's maybe reset it. Also we can assign some color and select the hips, select the main and press extract root motion. So the root motion is extracted. So after that I can bake these controls and delete extra locators. So let's see if we want to adjust this pose in the end of the animation. So same as usual, I would add the HIK controls, pelvis and main to the layer, set a few keys, and in the end of the animation I will just move the character in the required position, maybe somewhere here, maybe rotate it a little bit, so the stop animation will work on a straight line. And here we can see some sliding. And this sliding can be fixed with the offset algorithm in the smart layer. But same as usual, don't forget to clean up the animation layer. Simply select the required controls, right click, extract selected objects, and apply the script to this clean animation layer. Okay, so the adjustment is done. Basically, in a few clicks, we adjusted the position of the character. There is no fit sliding, and everything works correctly. If you want to apply the transformation algorithm to rotate the whole animation, you can do it easily as usual. Again, maybe in this case you would like to extract the root motion first. Same as usual, I would select the hips effector and the HIK, bake them to locators. Then select the hips effector and the main control and press extract root motion. So the root motion is extracted. Then I would select the hips effector and the HIKs, bake and delete locators. So animation looks the same, but right now we have the animated main control, and it's a little bit easier to manipulate the whole character. Again, let's add the hips effector, HIKs and the main to the animation layer, set the required keys, relocate the main to the required position, kind of like this. So everything will be sliding. Then we have to clean up the animation layer as usual. Right click, extract selected objects. Maybe specify the center object for the transformation. Choose the transformation and run the script. So the script worked, and we have animation adjustment to different position with some rotation applied on top of the animation. Again, if you want, you can do some other adjustment to, for example, move the character in this direction. Again, apply some rotation. Then after we run the script, the sliding will be gone, and we got the animation adjusted to a different position with some turn added to the animation. And of course, with the transformation algorithm, we can adjust some turn and spot animations. So here I found some dancing animation, which I think can be an interesting example to show the idea. So let's say I want to apply some extra turn to this animation, maybe turn the character like this, or maybe like this. I can easily do it through the animation layer. So I will select the hips effector, the HIKs for the hands and for the legs, and also the main control, add it to the layer, set basically 2 keys, rotate the main control, maybe 90 degrees. Right, so everything will be sliding. Now, as usual, I would have to create a clean animation layer, extract selected objects, then specify the center object for the transformation, which would be the main, and run the script with the transform option enabled. Okay, so the adjustment is done, and I got the turn of 90 degrees applied to the animation. There is no feet sliding, there is no sliding on the hands controls. So this is how you basically can apply any turn to any animation. Maybe let's turn the character in other direction. Maybe let's make it minus 90 degrees. Again, run the script. And we got the animation adjusted to have less turn. And again, there is no feet sliding. Everything looks like it was animated like this from the start. With spline adjustment, everything is basically the same as usual. So let's say we have some walk animation and the character is walking through some obstacle and we want to adjust this animation. Again, I would select the hips effector and the HIK controls, add them to layer, basically set 3 keys, make the adjustment, kind of like this. So everything will be sliding. By the way, here we have some kind of annoying bug with the rotation. I think this happens just because how the human HIK works with the animation layers, and this is one of the reasons I kind of don't like this rig. So somehow it created me the keys on rotation, and I didn't ask for this. It doesn't impact the script evaluation, but it's still kind of annoying. So okay, we have this animation with the sliding feet. Now we have to specify the center object for the spline transformation, which in this case can be pelvis control. And as usual, before we run the script, we have to create a clean animation layer, only with the required controls. So after I run the script, everything should work as expected. The character is walking around the obstacle, and the adjustment was basically done in a few clicks. If you want to do some more complex adjustments, I think it would be easier to extract the root motion first. So same as usual, I would select the hips effector and the HIKs, then bake them to locators. So right now I have the animation baked to these locators and I can animate the main control without affecting the rest of the animation. So I would select the hips effector, the main control, and press the extract root motion button. So the root motion is extracted. Now I can bake the rig controls and delete locators. So right now the animation, it exists on the root motion. It should be easy to manipulate the character. So I can select the hips effector, the HIKs and the main, add them to layer, set basically 1 key, select the main control, then maybe go to the helper rig and create the helper rig with the desired number of segments. If I want, I can visualize the trajectory and then work with this helper rig to bend the whole path exactly as I need. After that, of course, we need to create the clean animation layer, extract selected objects. So this animation layer would have only objects we need. Maybe we could specify the center object for the transformation as this main control, and then after we run the script, everything should work as expected. So the character is walking along some complex path, and basically there are no issues to evaluate this animation. And the last example which I would like to show you today would be this climbing animation. So let's say we have a character which is climbing some surface, and we would like to match this animation with some complex geometry. We can easily do it with a smart layer. So the first thing we need to check would be the human HIK definition. So here you can see the legs effectors. They have these attributes being set to 1, and we need to do the same for the hands effectors. Otherwise the variation might be not exactly correct. So okay, I set the hand HIK bend sliders to 1. Now we can proceed with the adjustment. And the second thing would be that it might be not exactly convenient to manipulate the character, which doesn't have the animated main control. So we can maybe extract the root motion as usual. So here I have a selection set with the hips effector and the HIK effectors. I can maybe select these controls and bake them to locators. Just bake them to the world space. After that I will be able to manipulate the main control without affecting the rest of the animation. So I can maybe match it with the pelvis, set key in the beginning of the time range, then go to the end of the animation, again match it with the pelvis, set key, and then I will go to the graph editor and make sure these keys are linear. And I think this animation will work fine as a root motion. So after we got our improvised root motion, I can bake the effectors and delete extra locators. So animation looks the same, but right now I can manipulate the main control and the rest of the animation will follow it. So technically we could already just select these controls, put them to layer, set required keys, and make our adjustment. But that can be a little bit time consuming. So what I would do, I would delete this animation layer and again select our HIK effectors and main, add them to layer, set one key in the beginning of the time range. Now I would extract these objects from this animation layer to get a clean animation layer with only these objects as usual. So if I select objects, you see I have only objects I need in this animation layer. And maybe I can delete this layer because I don't need it anymore. And now I can select the main control and create a helper rig with the desired number of segments. I think maybe 5-10 segments should be enough. Okay, so I think this will work. So we have a character climbing, we have a helper rig. Now we can manipulate this helper rig and adjust the whole animation. So I can rotate the rotator objects in the helper rig to bend the whole animation to match the surface. So I spent a little bit of time and matched the helper rig with the surface to make the character climb this specific geometry. So here you can see that sometimes we have the character rotated like this, and maybe this is not exactly what we want. So what we can do, we can use these extra objects, which are called relocators, which are also like part of the helper rig, and we can rotate them to keep the character in exact position we need, in exact rotation, to, let's say, get more precise results of our adjustment. And again, I can use the hotkeys to jump between keyframes in the layer. So for example here, I can maybe adjust this locator, maybe rotate character like this to keep it vertical. So okay, the animation looks like this. everything is sliding, and we got some sort of complex movement where the character is not only going along the spline, but here we can see the character is also strafing sideways, and at the same time the character is rotated in this plane to match this specific geometry. So at this point all we have to do is just set the center object for the transformation, which would be the main control, then choose the transformation by spline. Also, because here we have vertical movement, ideally we would like to redefine the vertical direction in the scene. So here in the algorithm options, I will go to the vertical rotation and choose the rotation up instead of the Y, which is the scene up. I will choose maybe the X axis, which would be, sideways. So in this way the character will rotate in this plane and we will not have any inaccuracies in the twist rotation. So okay, I will choose X, and after that we can simply run the script as usual and everything should work fine. Okay, the script worked, and we see we got our adjustment where the character is climbing this complex surface. There is no sliding. We got some rotation in this plane. Here the character is strafing sideways, like a real person would do in such situation. So basically there is no problem to evaluate such complex animation with vertical movement and rotation in multiple planes. So we might have some inaccuracies where the character is going through geometry. So for example here, we can maybe fix it by adjusting the position of the character in the keyframes. But eventually, regarding this part, when some limb is going through geometry, the only way to 100% fix it would be create another animation layer in the offset mode. So I will select the legs and hands HIK effectors, create another animation layer, set a few keys, and just basically manually control to avoid these limbs going through geometry during the whole animation. So okay, I spent a few minutes adjusting hands and legs HIK controls to avoid them going through geometry. Well, here we have some annoying bugs of the rotations. It doesn't impact the evaluation at all, it's just specifics of working with the human HIK in Maya. It creates rotation keyframes like this in the additive animation layers. But again, it doesn't matter for the script, because the script, it takes transformations at specific keyframes, and what happens between these keyframes, it doesn't matter for the script at all. So again, when I have this adjustment in the animation layer, I can choose the algorithm offset, create a clean animation layer, exactly the same as we did before, so extract selected objects, and just run the script as usual in the offset mode. So the script worked, and we have our animation. Again, when the character is climbing some complex surface, and we don't have any issues with the limbs going through geometry, and there is no sliding, and everything works kind of okay. Well, obviously you could spend more time adjusting this animation, let's say polishing some poses. Here we can see some hands overextension, so maybe some additional animation layer can be created in this case. But I hope the idea is kind of clear. Okay, that's maybe it. I hope the tutorial was useful for you and maybe you learned something new. If summarizing, just be careful what controls you put in the animation layer to avoid applying correction to any controls you don't need. And basically that's it. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time.